is a review of this lesson, lesson 6. So in this lesson, our objective is to be able to solve an addition or subtraction word problem, notice that's a word problem, by using an equation to model the problem. Okay, over here in this corner, and you can pause this video to record these if you don't have this in your math notes, or you can record this on a piece of paper if you'd like to. Okay, these are clue words that go with adding. These are clue words that often go with subtraction. Okay, and we didn't record every single word, just the most common ones. The other thing that you need to know before we even start is an equation looks like this. It's a whole entire number sentence. It includes an answer and an equal sign. Okay, now in this word problem here, Jared drinks 1 3/4 cups of water. His sister Emily drinks 1 1/2 cups more than Jared. How much water does Emily drink? Okay, so we're comparing these two numbers. Now, a lot of children recognize that we're going to be subtracting, but whose fraction information goes first? And actually, are we really subtracting? That makes me think we're subtracting, but look at this. When we draw a bar model to represent the problem, we have this amount here that Jared drinks. Now, the amount that Emily drinks is the same amount that he drinks, so you have to draw that first. And then you put on the mixed number that represents how much she drinks. You can see here that we're putting two things together, right? This is adding. So here's our equation. We left that blank until we got an answer, by the way. We estimated, we said that 1 3/4 is very, very close to 2. And we left 1 1/2 alone because we either can choose a whole number or a fraction that has a half, okay? And we said that that answer would be 3 1/2, or some people maybe would like to take 1 1/2 and get rid of that and make that be 2. And that 4 would also be a good estimate. Then we had to rename our fractions. We found common denominators. Okay, we made lists of multiples, and we chose the one that was the smallest, and then we added. And we ended up with this, 2 5/4. Okay, then over here, we said, well, we can't leave that fraction improper. So we renamed that using division, and that's 1 1/4, and we wrote that here. And then we joined these 2 and the 1 together, and that makes 3 1/4 cups. So Emily drank 3 1/4 cups. And notice that that's very, very close to 3 1/2. That was our estimate. 3 1/4 is a little bit further away from 4, but remember that 3 1/2 is a more appropriate approximation anyway. Okay. Now on the next page, okay, we have kind of a map here, and Sandra walks to the library, and then she walks home. Okay, after school. So she starts at school, she goes to the library, and then she goes home. And in this map, we know the distance from home to the library is this far, and we know that this whole entire distance, like if she walked from home to school, that's 5 2/8, but it doesn't ask that. It says, what is the distance from the school to the library? That's this missing information here. So our addition equation was that missing information. We represented that with a D, standing for distance, plus 1 3/4. That was the mileage that was here. And then we add that would total up to this 5 2/8 miles, okay? This is not very helpful. How would I solve for that variable? I would subtract. I want to get that letter by itself. I go 5 2/8 minus 3/4. Well, you cannot subtract this because these have different denominators, okay? But let's address that a little bit later. We're going to estimate first. So 5 2/8 is very much closer to 5 than 6. And 1 3/4 is close to 2. 5 minus 2 is 3. So our D letter, the distance, should be about 3. Okay? Now, there was some confusion on Friday between these two symbols. This sign right here means equal or the same as, and this, when you make this kind of curvy, this symbol really stands for approximately equal to, but this means about the same, not equal. Okay? So here's our number sentence written again. We left this off until we found our answer, by the way. Again, we find common denominators, okay, and between 8 and 4. We made equivalent fractions using multiplication, and then we ended up having to regroup. I ended up showing all this regrouping in a different piece of paper, but 5 and 2/8, we regrouped that. We took 1 away, 4, and we brought over 8/8. That's the same thing as 1. And then we joined these two numbers together, and that made 4 and 10/8. So we had 4 and 10/8, 4 and 10/8 minus 1 and 6/8, and that was 3 and 4/8. 3 and 4/8, and that's the same thing as 3.5. Okay, and our answer is very, very close. We didn't write, it's close to 3. Okay, it's only half away. That's wonderful. All right, and then we did some of these word problems, and we're going to go over some of these in class. So I'm not going to talk more about this. Okay.